All right. Venus has had a rough time seeking satisfaction in the world and our personal lives, most certainly. Uh, your girl, Miss BeEcstatic. Thank you for visiting. Welcome back if you're subscribed. This is another entry into our Venus diaries, and I'm seeking comfort. Itzley, my pup, is seeking comfort, hence the weird angle and the moving computer. Sorry. This is my second time recording, and I just wasn't satisfied with the first one. And tis par for the course because I don't plan, I don't make notes. Oh shit. I don't plug in. Oh my God, that's hilarious. Hold on. Okay. But, we go with the flow, we have fun, we make the best. So I'm popping on to discuss an update or recap and update Venus. And Venus just went into, just ingressed into, as I'm speaking, Libra. She loves it in Libra. There is a sense of potential for peace, harmony, um, camaraderie in relationships, possibility and potential, right? And I did mention comfort, did I not? And and we have these pesky oppositions. So, and this is something that's going to continue. This is just part of an ongoing cycle over the next couple of years um, because Saturn and Neptune are in between Pisces and Aries, and this process will continue and find some resolution in mid-February where they conjunct, come together in Aries. But for now, Saturn has retrograded into Pisces, and now Neptune will be joining Saturn shortly. We've had a parade of personal planets come through the Virgo and Libra zodiacal part of the sky. And what that means is that all of the things that are most personal, near and dear on the day-to-day level are impacted. They're being checked by Saturn and checked by the authority, correct? So Saturn is known to be most infamously father of time, seeking long-term growth and stability, legacy, but also boundaries, limitations, structures, authority, law, and then, Venus being in Libra, we're talking about law, peace, justice, diplomacy. And so Venus is the most recent one coming through as she ingresses today into Libra. Did I mention today's October 13th, 2025? You will be watching this much later. I'm a procrastinator, so I leave things to the end or to when I feel like it. It's spontaneous. Not that planned out, I'm afraid. I am now plugged in though, so we're good to go. And what I want to talk about, I did make one note because, oh yes, because this is my second time doing this, uh, that we started the Venus Diaries to follow the nature, make note of Venus in my personal life and share it here, that the astrology would become more personal, that I would have ownership of my understanding, not just read it from a book or hear someone else's interpretation, but to have possession of my own knowledge. Okay, so here we are. We started in March with the Venus Diaries, with the Venus star point that occurred at 2 degrees Aries. This is going to be really interesting over the next couple of years, as Saturn and Neptune are going to be meeting at 0 degrees in Aries, and then, traverse that space. Okay, so stay on track. Part of the Venus star point was something really lovely that happened in Pisces, right? So Venus dipped into Aries, but then this is part of the recap, retrograded into Pisces, met with the North Node, met with the Moon, I believe, in this particular transit, met with Saturn. And this was an internal reset, an internal evaluation, restructuring what we dream, what we vision, what we hold dear, what we want, and what we want to see more of in terms of value, legacy. Again, we're dreaming up what kind of structures we can put in place. Well, we're dreaming, but Saturn in Pisces wants to bring something formal, tangible, something that will have longevity, that is longevity good. And so that was part of a synodic cycle between the two planets and part of the Venus star point transit, which is part of a larger cycle happening over 8 years, right? So there's these smaller cycles inside of larger cycles, smaller cycles like a retrograde or a conjunction, and then with these inner planets, and then you have like Saturn, Neptune, larger, you know. The last time Saturn Neptune came together was in like 1860 something, long time ago. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. No, I take that back. It's even further than that, because the last time Neptune ingressed into Aries was in 1800 something, 60, I think, 63 or 60 something. You add then the fact that that Saturn and Neptune do this together at an exact point. Long time, long time. I don't even know. My software, I don't think does that. I need an upgrade. I need an upgrade. So, okay, so that's part of the recap, right? That's where we've been thus far. Started with the conjunction. And then when Venus went into Taurus, we had a sextile. And then when it went into Cancer, we had a square. And then when and so on and so forth, trine and Leo. And then now we're in an opposition. And this is where, in the shorter term cycle between Saturn and Venus, we get to face how far we've come, and hence a new Venus Diaries evaluation. Now, part of this is, the fact that the opposition is happening in Saturn's still in Pisces because of its retrograde. And so, and obviously Venus moves a little faster. Now, what happened there? The opposition, Venus in Virgo, has been not great. I've not enjoyed it personally. And with Venus with the South Node, ugh. I just, there's been okay, so it's not bad, not terrible. in that like it's not like catastrophic. However, and I know some people are really thriving in this. Like I think Virgos are really having a great time because they're being renewed by all of this. Like and it's a since South Node is more spiritual, karmic, and like releasing, it's like maybe you're feeling lighter, and just depending on how it interacts in your own personal chart, you might be enjoying this. For me, the everyday mundane South Node is just, it's been really wonky, and I haven't really got my footing, to be honest. I have had to reconsider, and like personal health has been highlighted, certainly. And there have been some other things that have happened to me personally that involved someone close to me dying of cancer. And um, could see that in their chart for the first time in my awareness and studies of astrology. It's been kind of wild, but that was sad, you know? So, like, for me, it was like letting go of a relationship that was due to a health crisis. And it was a karmic relationship, South Node, Venus. Just the placement for me worked out that way. It's not been fun. It's been a little bit of grieving. And uh so anyway, but aside from that, it has also like, in Virgo, it wants something practical, organized, timely, and like there's a plan, right? There's a plan, and you want things to go to plan, and nothing seems to be going to plan. So with that Neptune in Aries, the I should probably bring up a chart while I'm talking. It's been like all the things that I identify or have identified over the last 40 some odd years of my life feel as though it has been dissolving. So I'm feeling really dehydrated right now. It's funny. It's humid outside. Okay, I'm gonna share screen. Let's see. And let's see. I'm gonna put myself, I think, over here. Hi. Hopefully, yeah, I think that'll work. Great. Okay, so do I like this chart? Yes. Oh wait, no, sorry. That was okay. I'll get to this. This is what I want to talk about. The sense of dissatisfaction. We still see, you know, within 10 degrees, this Venus South Node happening in Virgo. And and as I'm recording now, Venus has ingressed into Virgo. So I do hope to feel an improvement in this. And um, maybe, yeah, because then the South Node will be by itself. And of course, you want to look to your own personal chart to see what that looks like. So, in the meantime, what we're looking at here is the Venus-Saturn opposition. So, we recapped a little bit where we started, how the different aspects that happened along the way. And here we are at the exact Venus-Saturn opposition. So, we're at the halfway point of the cycle before it concludes. I think it's in, shoot, I forget. We'll get to it. We'll get to it. Get to the next conjunction. Next conjunction. I have to make a note or I'll forget because I will ramble. Okay, so one of the main things I wanted to talk about was this opposition because this is the chart for the exact date. However, um, there's a lot happening leading up to this. We are in the middle, as I'm speaking of, kind of uh, uh, unfolding the energies of the eclipse season. And we're also in between moons. We have a new moon coming up on the 22nd. Okay, so we've got another 10 days, 10 days. So we're still very much in the in between, and Neptune very much in this like foggy dissolving expression. And in the first attempt to record this, like I really emphasized how this larger cycle of Saturn and Neptune coming together at the 0 point of Aries is the beginning of um, a larger time cycle and a new chapter of a new chapter with Saturn, right? And so everything leading up to that is a step towards closure of the old. And this Neptune energy really seems to dissolve the memory, the identity, the I used to is what I see myself saying a lot. And because the past is really like we're having to confront a lot of it at this time, close out a lot of things, South Node and Virgo. And it's interesting time to be alive for sure. So, and then we have that all the while we have this double sextile, B-sextile, um, with the trine, like these outer planets supporting the spine of the new chapter of the new book, right? Or the new book, spine of the new book. So the Venus star point will happen after the well, okay, let me step back. So this opposition, the way that it showed up in the mundane world was political tensions, sanctions, peace negotiations, tariffs, and markets having their biggest dip or red streak this year. So the way that I see that is, there's limitations being put on the boundless Pisces, like infinite, all up, all the time. And the the way that like tariffs, imports, right? Imports, Pisces, tariffs, how it shows up in the mundane, like paying for it, practical, like what's the impact is going to be Venus in Virgo. And I would say like once it hits the ground, right, how it's dispersed, the manner and the means and the ways, right? So anyway, the the feeling of fear, insecurity, we have Cancer here, not really playing a direct role, but Cancer is squaring over to Chiron in Aries, and Aries with I'm sorry, Chiron with Neptune. So there is like this discomfort. There's discomfort, and there is a challenge to security, and the uncertainty of it all brings up fear. So we're having to face the conflict of our relationship to other people, other nations, uh, contracts, the value of everyday goods, and the roles that we play. And so this is part of that Venus-Saturn transit. We're at the halfway point, and we're going to be progressing. Venus will be progressing into Libra. She's in Libra now. Okay. We'll see what happens with that, but we know immediately once she ingresses into Libra, she's opposing that 0-degree Neptune. So again, the I've heard it described as Neptune being the furthest out, right? Like the centaur of the of our solar system, where it is on the furthest reaches, looking out beyond into the unknown. So there's no clarity of the unknown. But then also it has a quality of not seeing things clearly. So there's deception, potential for deception. There's a potential for fantasy. There's a there might be really beautiful things that are conjured from this as well that help inform us, because Neptune is going to go back into Pisces, and it might inform us internally on what we would aspire to put to physical manifestation once they both Saturn and Neptune come into Aries. Cool. All right. So all the while, what we're talking about is a cycle, an 8-year long cycle with Venus star point. And there's all these other things happening in between that help inform Venus on how to structure the next level of manifestations in our world, in this generation, in the epochs to come. So now in this chart, what you want, like the indicators for these, or the messaging, here, Mercury, Mars in Scorpio, in the markets, in speculation, in other people's money, in debts and taxes, right? Speculation. And yeah, so we see where that came from. All right. Now, Venus is going to move through Libra, and we'll see how, she will eventually oppose Chiron as well. And as she moves through Libra, once she gets into Scorpio, she would have reached the cusp of the underworld. And this is where, um, in mythology, she's stripped of her jewels before making her way into the underworld, where she's most vulnerable and exposed. And so she's considered at this point like not seen. So she's invisible, so that her, as I understand it, her strength, the way that, because she's considered a benefic, her beneficence, her gifts don't come as easily or readily or in the same strength. Perhaps it's delayed, perhaps it's just, um, perhaps there's some, um, yeah, if you think about someone exposed and vulnerable, there's hesitation to give, right? Like there might be, again, I'm going to come back to, discomfort, um, a sense of insecurity. So there's a period here where things are really just being stripped down. And that's what we expect in Scorpio. Scorpio gets to the root, to the bottom, to, it has to do with what we excrete, you know, and our sex organs. So there is a lot of vulnerability of Venus in the the zodiacal sign of Scorpio. And so then, okay, that being said, the what was the other thing I wanted to say? Okay, I'm gonna move on to a different chart. No, that's not helpful. Let's see. Hmm. Mm, I'm just gonna stop share. Hi. And let me find the, let me, sleepy. It's the Itzley is my little companion. We've had a lot of rain and he's been very uncomfortable and ill at ease outside. He's a hairless Charlotte. So again, you know, to my point, close that out, open the, wait, is that the one I want? Yes, this is it. Okay. Now I will share. We will continue. Oh, yeah, that's okay. With this. All right. So now what you're seeing here, now when you should have a link to this in my previous, you might be familiar with this with the Venus Diaries prior. I will make sure that there is one available here in the description box below. By the way, if you like this material, if you're interested in, you know, the diaries, if you're getting anything out of this at all, or just want to support my channel, please give a like. Yeah. And, you know, leave me a comment. Oh, it's so fickle when it wants to do it. Uh-huh. And help me grow my channel. Okay. Thanks. Love you. Appreciate it. All right. So this is astroseek.com and it is the Venus Rose full and new Venus cycles, all the visibility, yada, yada, with the dates. It's very cool. You can open up any of these charts to get the details that are surrounding, because it's not just, you know, none of us live on an island or in a bubble. Venus doesn't either. Like every time she's going through this process over the 8-year span, there's so many other things that are impacting the experience, impacting and informing the cycle itself. So here we are. We are on, yes, we are at the morning setting. So consider like this is the last day of visibility is on the November 26th. So, you know, looking at the chart, November 26th. Let me just make sure this is the right one. Yes. Yeah, we see Venus here with Mercury, and let's see what else. The trines are really, you know, this is the grand water trine happening here. So all of the you know, Scorpio is fixed water, Pisces mutable, and Cancer cardinal water. So each of them are in supportive flow to one another. And we see this opposition over here to, well, yeah, it's like it's a building opposition, approaching opposition to Uranus. So that'll be interesting also. So as she's going into the underground, she'll be encountering Kronos also, right? And like there's a lot of, I don't know, is it Kronos? Is Uranus Kronos? I might be getting my gods mixed up. However, I do know that Uranus can, at the 29th degree, anything can happen. Shit can fly. And there might be a lot of, I would just say, especially with the water trine, that there might be really unpredictable shifts and changes in these sectors of the sky, these areas of your chart, and that will most certainly impact relationships, that will most certainly make you feel, again, insecure, uncertain, and bring up fear as well, right? And what else do I want to say about that? And this is a process, again, step by step, in finding closure of the past. And we are all, in a sense, you know, taking off elements of our identity, what we knew of ourselves, what we knew of our roles, our positions, our status, our physical things, all the way down to like the things that we think about ourselves, to think about our relationships, feel about our relationships, feel about ourselves. All of these things are dissolving and finding or rearranging, and some are falling away entirely, and some of them are reforming and recalibrating to put either more emphasis on or just find new meaning and purpose for this new chapter coming forward. So Venus is playing a big part this whole cycle in opening up, cracking open this new chapter. And with that Saturn Neptune in the background, finishing up, they're not they're going forward at this point, having revisited the latest degrees of Pisces. They are now moving as she's going under to they will be moving forward to Aries. That again, cardinal point that in fact is a new universal world point. Okay, new chapter, new book, not even chapter. So I am rambling, I'm sorry. So she's preparing herself in the underworld. She's being totally broken down to the purest, most essential, most meaningful, most uh she's in her transformation. And yes. And then the other chart I wanted to show, we'll go back to this, is so then full Venus superior conjunction, that we started with an inferior conjunction. And I believe that's like the placement, like either she's below or like above the sun or below the sun as she's passing. Yeah, so I don't remember because in one of my other videos I did go into detail about that. So I guess I need to do it again. January 6th, this is the chart for the conjunction. Over here, where is it? Yes, bottom of the chart. We have, wait, is this the right one? No, this is, sorry, that's not the right one. This is it. Okay. So in the first attempt at this video, I mentioned that I also have a Venus Capricorn. Hey, Boss Babe Gang Gang, leave a comment below if you're a Venus Capricorn. Or a Venus Scorpio. I would love to meet some more Venus Scorpios. Tell me your experience down below. What is your Venus sign? And can you put like a couple of words below, like how like natally you experience your Venus? What's your Venus like? We should do video on like Venus in each sign. We'll do that. We'll make that a part of the Venus Diaries also. I'm gonna make a note. I better make a note or I'll forget. Um, Literally, I'll forget. I've had such an influx of mental creative and inspirational ideas that just as I'm driving or as I mean, washing dishes or doing anything, I'm just like so many things come to mind, or listening to a podcast. I don't know, random ideas for like cool stuff. I can forget it every time. Okay, what did I say? Oh, yes. Venus in the signs. So I'll need like some input from you guys. Let me know. I mean, obviously, I'll gather some intel and research, but Venus Diaries. Okay, cool. So here she's with, not only is she, Kazini with the sun, but she also, right after, she's going to meet with Mars. So what's cool about this is that like four of the personal planets are all at one point or another together in Capricorn in January, right? Yes, January 6th. And Pluto direct at 2 degrees. It looks like everybody's direct. Is there anybody not direct? No, everything's direct. So things are moving fast. Okay. And again, this is, you know, in Capricorn, she's come out of her dark night of the soul here. She's emerging somewhere in here. I think actually that's why I had this other chart out. No, not February. Oh yeah, February is when she's like emerging. She's coming out to be like, you'll see her. She's fully come out of the underworld. She's walked her newly, shiny self, renewed self, into the sunlight, and she's in her fullness of power at that point. And now she's ready to dispense of her gifts and her wisdom. And so that's in February. We see an increase of her visibility. And yeah, and then at that point, she's in Pisces. And at that point, we have the conjunction building between Saturn and Venus. Cool. So, like, what does this all matter? Like we see in the mundane world how these things play out with other countries, with financial institutions, and in this global world, we're all connected. And then what happens in one, yeah. And I don't think this is actually a new thing. It's like the butterfly effect. The butterfly flaps its wings on one side of the world, the ripple effect um, is felt across the world. So it's not, we're not experiencing life in a bubble on an island. So the themes of where we are building up, we're doing a lot of letting go of what was acceptable, tolerable, valuable in the past, and reassessing, feeling into what it means going forward. And in the last half of the zodiacal wheel, excuse me, between Libra and Pisces, it is the depths. It is the coldest. It is the most, it's the slowest and most constrictive. And there's pressure. And so, like, it's like the last days of, it's like the last months of birth. We're like this, you're ready to bring something new into the world, but like until then, like there's just pressure to get out, get out of the womb, or birth something. But until we're just not ready. We're just not ready. Until then, we feel the pressure and anticipation and the discomfort and the uncertainty and the insecurity. And all of that is part of the cycle. I just love how nature, and I say this pretty much, I feel like in every video in one form or another, it's supremely, um, it's beautiful the way um, the way nature is orchestrated. And so let's see, what else? There's something else. Is there something else? No, I just really wanted to kind of touch on the, hey, Venus is in Libra, and where we are with the Saturn synodical cycle. I think maybe we could take a look at, let me bring it up and then I will share. Let's look at when the next Saturn or Venus-Saturn conjunction is. Okay, so it's in March. So we have a lot going on in the spring. We have a Venus star point in January. January. We have the conjunction of Neptune and Saturn on in February. And then we have, let me bring up the chart. Oh, hi. Let's see. I guess I have to stop share each time and then share again. I feel like there's a better way. I just don't know. I'm sorry, you guys. Um, this is the one. Yes. Okay. So this is the Saturn Venus conjunction March. Okay, and then remember all the while in between February and March, eclipses. And then we also have the after this March 3rd, we'll have spring equinox. Or yeah, right? The end of this year, 2025, and the beginning of 2026 is going to be like off the charts wild. It's going to be amazing. I'm so here for it. Also, by the way, um, starting January, February, the Chinese zodiacal sign, the Chinese New Year begins in February, and it is the beginning of the um, fire horse. Imagine that. We have this um we have Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus in air signs, and then we have a fire horse year. We're talking about force, strength, intensity, um, conflict, lots of uh lots of potential for um confrontation and propaganda, messaging, information exchange at a fiery pitch, right? So, and then the air quality is mental, so that has to do with our beliefs, our thoughts, our communication, the social media, things of that nature. And Pluto and Aquarius, it's networks, technology, and yeah, fire, air. It feels exciting, but also, we have to kind of like be cautious and stay grounded best we can because who knows what can happen with that kind of energy. Anyway, I digress. See, I ramble. What was I doing? Yes, this is the next. See, I don't know why it did not. This is not the right chart because I was looking for the conjunction of Venus and Saturn. So maybe I did that incorrectly. Let me do this again. Well, maybe we do it this way. Oh, that's why. You know what? That is why. Sorry, you guys. All right, so yeah, it's still March, early March. Huh. Okay. Yeah, there we go. So 2 degrees. 2 degrees. That's the Venus star point. So there's the significance. Okay. Saturn was a part of her retrograde, right? In Pisces before she came back in and met the sun at Aries. And so here they are. Oh, zoom at this 2 degree. See the point, beginning point. So many beginnings. No aspects that I can see. Is there? Well, yeah, it's aspecting Pluto, of course, but in a positive sextile way. Again, there's not directly related to that conjunction, but there's another water trine happen or grand water trine happening with the moon there on that day. Man, this Venus cycle is rich, 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 rich. In another video, I think it'd be a good idea to like see what she's been doing with Jupiter, because there was a conjunction with Jupiter also. I know we've really focused on Saturn. And maybe because I'm a Venus cap, Saturn rules, there's a relationship between Venus and Saturn for me directly. That's what my focus has been. And my moon's there. So I just kind of I'm like more comfortable with that. But there was a conjunction in Cancer earlier on in the summer, which was interesting. Venus and Jupiter. I didn't like it, to be honest. Yeah, it felt like, I think I did a video about it actually. If you want to look back in I did a 3-minute short on it. Or no, a 1-minute short. Like there's delayed gratification basically, or maybe overselling of something and then being left kind of anyhow. Like there's lessons that Jupiter dispenses with Venus, and they're not always obvious right away, and they're not always abundant, but they are, expanding your wisdom and your repertoire of understanding in the world. So anyhow, I think, let's see, let me just see if there's anything else I want to share Venus wise. I think those were all the charts actually. And then we did a little bit more. Was there anything else that I wanted to say? No, I don't think so. Okay. So that was my rant. And I hope I didn't bore you to tears as I did this guy. And yeah, that's my Venus Diaries update, like recap update, and like forecast rant for the last leg of this cycle going into the winter months before the spring, which should be off the charts, bananas. And I'll be here for it. And when I have the energy, like I said, I did mention this in my first attempt that I'm heavy in 12th house stuff right now, especially with Neptune and Saturn retrograding back into Pisces. And I have a large 12th house, 12th and 6th house. So feels like it's, you know, like traversing the ice walls of, oh, what's that movie in the dragons, something or other. Anyway, ice walls rather than like a desert. It's like, I don't know why that's a good reference or not. It's not. Anyway, thank you so much for being here. If you've lasted this long, give me a like, give me a subscribe. Thank you so much. I really value your time, and I hope that you've gotten something out of this, and I really want some feedback, and we'll see you in the next one. All right. Take care. Peace.